Hey Dara, so I got a chance to look at your game versus the Trojans, and I did pick up on something. You had made a reference that they pulled and trapped a lot. I didn't see any of that. I do want to show you what I saw, and then I'll follow up some video clips to make it a little clearer. But um, first, that game was not close because of some of the things you gave up on defense. There was a pick six, there was a blocked punt, there was a whole bunch of weird stuff that seemed to go on in that game because clearly it looked like your team was bigger and stronger. But when you combine that weird stuff and then some of the stuff that you did give up on defense, that made it a really close game to the end, which should not have been a close game. So let me show you what I saw, and I'll back it up with some clips. Now, up on the board, I've got just kind of a generic offense with a tight end, and the running back is in what you guys like to call sidecar, which is a pretty cool term. I've never heard that before. Against this formation, the offense's running game is going to be some form of search. And against this formation, your type of defense, where you're penetrating and reestablishing the line of scrimmage 4 yards back, it works really well. However, this isn't what the Trojans were running. The Trojans put that quarterback under center. They had that great big fullback, number 44, who ran a lot better than his body type would lead you to believe. And then they had a pretty quick kid back there, number 12. First, all the stuff that you did stacking the box, I would have done that too. The quarterback really struggled to throw the ball. And keep it simple, right? If they struggle to throw the ball, take away the run enforcement to do that. No hassle. But here's what I saw. When they ran their fullback dive, whether it was to their weak side or to their strong side, at least twice, your defensive end over-penetrated. And when that over-penetration happened, this fullback, number 44, he actually was a tough runner, and he made some nice moves and had a couple of big gains. But that's not the one that really got my attention. The one that really got my attention was when they ran their lead play, and I'll run it over here, although they did it to both sides. And just simply blocked out and blocked down. Fullback came through. Then number 12 came through. What I saw happen was I saw not only your defensive end over-penetrate, but I saw the nose guard over-penetrate too. And this might have even been late in the game, and that was a huge run. So I didn't see any pulling and trapping and kicking out. What I saw was the same thing as last week, which is good, right? Because that shows we're being consistent with the analysis. What I saw the same thing as last week was defensive linemen over-penetrating. Now, with that in mind, I'm not suggesting you don't do that. That's the way you've chosen to do it, and there might be a lot of good reasons for it, but you should understand, and here's something I think I can provide that'll be valuable. When you face an offense that has two backs in the backfield, that over-penetrating defense is going to potentially be a liability. And that's really only going to be a big liability in your case if you're throwing pick sixes and getting punts blocked. Anyway, take a look at the film I'm going to share too. And I've got one more thing that I'd like to show you in that film itself. I thought that you guys were a physically better team than them. I thought there were enough mistakes that made this game closer than it shouldn't have been. And then with these added big plays by Belfast, this game did get in jeopardy. Now, I want to show you what I thought happened that created these big plays. And it is the theme that we've talked about before. It's over penetration. I didn't see Belfast kick out at all. No pulling guards, no nothing. You've chosen, or maybe by evolution, you chose to have a penetrating defense, and that's fine. You do need to be aware that if you get against a two-back team like Belfast, you might give up some big plays. But as long as your offense isn't throwing pick six and punts aren't getting blocked, the balance sheet at the end should still work out in your favor. I also noticed one other thing I want to bring to your attention for your consideration at the end. So let's take a look first. Okay, I've got my playlist of things that I noticed. Now, this is a big play by them. I didn't mark it up yet, so I'll mark it up as I go along. Quarterback didn't have much of an arm, by the way. Okay. This is going to turn out to be a pretty good dive play to their number 44, who I thought was a pretty good player. But what I want you to watch is this. Watch your defensive end. Look at how far upfield he is. That creates a huge lane, and this tackle gets a good block on your linebacker. And that's all a good player like number 44 needs. Oh, he's bumbling, he's stumbling. So that's an example of your defensive end charging too far upfield. Let's look at the next one. Okay, we're in trouble. This is not a dive, it's a lead to their running back. We've got number 44 coming through here. And he's about to get on your linebacker, and your linebacker is going to be the only person in this hole because not only do we have your defensive end charging way too upfield, but you've got a linebacker charging way too upfield as well. This isn't a good deal. We got one guy blocking two players. Really made that player look better than he was. Okay, let's go to our next one. I'm betting this is the same thing again, but let's just take a look. Actually, this is a little different. I don't think the end gets too far upfield. Watch him. That's not bad. It's really not bad at all. He's forcing that hole to be a little bit smaller than it should be. But here's what I would point out, Dara. It seems to me that on this play, you've got two defenders occupying the same gap. And I say that because of where their helmets are. This guy right here, his head is to the inside, which means he's got to be, I guess that's going to be a B gap player, maybe an A gap player if this is the C. And you got a linebacker coming right in there as well. So you got two guys in the same gap. Fullback crushes that linebacker. Actually, that fullback takes out two guys. I'm going to assume these are brand new players. The guy's getting blocked. One. He really only gets one. But he's a good player, right? And so, good players are going to make plays against you at times. Okay, let's see what happened here. You know, before the play even starts, I know this guy is going full speed straight ahead. He's in a wide, it's probably a wide 9. And look at his track stance. You know what, Dara? This play isn't a big deal. I put this one in here. I thought I saw something, but I didn't really. So kind of disregard that one. Okay, this is 145. I'm going to come back to this one in a minute. I want to show you this one because this is neat. This play really brought them into the game. All right, so we have a tight end over here. You got a wing. Oh gosh, this is almost like what I run. This is kind of wing T set in a pistol. Now, at first looks, That just looks like bad tackling. It's not. Well, I get, yeah, there was some bad tackling, and that happens. But here's what I want to point out to you. Watch this. This guy, your defensive tackle. Watch where he ends up. That's pretty far upfield. He does get a hand on the player, but you're a defensive coordinator. You tell your players not to tackle with their hands. Yeah, if he makes the tackle here, it's a giant play and everybody's excited. But watch where the running back goes. Watch where his cutback lane is. That's right where that defensive tackle started. I think your defensive tackle took himself out of the play. Okay, so those are two huge plays that you guys gave up through over penetration. And those are plays in the third and fourth quarter that made this a close game. Now, 145 is the play that really makes this close. This is the long pass. I'm assuming you remember it. But here's what I want to point out. I'm looking just at your cornerbacks. And both cornerbacks are angled in at the receiver. That's fine. You're taking away their inside slants, make them beat you deep. But by angling in at the receivers, this tells me they're in man coverage. I'm sure you know this already, Dara. Watch this guy. That young man is playing a zone. He's playing the hook to curl zone. Okay, so clearly that's a blown coverage. The other cornerback stayed in man. This cornerback came off his coverage into a zone. But here's what I want to compare that to. Take a look at this. This is from the other game that you let me see. I think this was a Dublin team. It was it the Rhinos? I don't know who they were, but it was the previous game that you let me see. Now, um, you've got everybody up, and this is your only deep man. There's no safety here. Watch what happens on this play. Okay, it's a delayed pass to the tight end. Let's go back real quick. Okay, so the tight end is here and he's eligible. There's a wing, there's a running back, there's got to be a receiver out here, there's another one out here. You've got a bunch of people coming up playing on the line of scrimmage. I'm assuming you've got some blitzes in. In these blitzes, you still got to be accountable for every potential receiver, like the tight end. Now, I know you know that. But without trying to set, okay, let me put it this way. Dara, respectfully, you know that. Why doesn't your defense know that? Why didn't anybody cover this tight end? Let me provide a possible reason why. When I went through this game, the one for against the Belfast Trojans, it's really well documented on Huddle. So I got to see all of the defensive calls, and there were lots of them. Now, it might be a case where you have one or two defenses and that you have a lot of minor adjustments off of them. If that's the case, that matches up with my line of thinking. But I want to just suggest the possibility, and you can decide whether I'm off base or not. I want to suggest the possibility that maybe you've got too many coverages. And the evidence that I would show that you might have too many coverages is this play against a quarterback who really should not be completing any passes against you. Sorry, not this play. I'm sure you were seeing this play in your nightmares. This play against a quarterback who should not be getting passes against you. Respectfully, I'm sure he's a fine young man. That cornerback, number 35, clearly doesn't know what the coverage should be. And then this one against the other team from Dublin, where I'm really assuming that you drew this up properly and somebody's responsible for the tight end, but your defenders forgot. Maybe, just maybe, you've got more coverages than you need. Regardless, Dara, ideas are like clothes. You try them on. If they don't fit, you take them off. But I clearly did see overpenetration being the reason for the passes, or excuse me, the big plays that you gave up. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'd like to move on next week to the Shamrock Bowl game and tell you what I think from that. Okay, have a good one, please.